Hi there, planetary plunderers, it's Misso Plays, and this week I got part one of a series of videos I'm going to be doing about point of interest takeovers, starting with this tour of my first takeover outpost, and then next week I'm going to tell you some things I learned along the way, things you might want to consider before building in these points of interest, and an easier way to take them over for yourself. But before we get stuck into this tour, I want to say an enormous thank you to Timberlin, Curtis Creations 2024, Sasha and Shift 8 for supporting me over on my Ko-Fi page. That support goes a long way towards me being able to keep making these videos and mods for you all. So thanks again for all of my supporters. And for now, let me take you around my new digs. An acclaimed squatter's rights on this Overgrown Science Lab here on the gorgeous moon of Archimedes 5A. I mean, it's got these great cherry blossom trees, it's got that beautiful skybox, and this outpost has lots of glowing mushrooms. And these are the things that drew me in. And then these brilliant little habs down here are the things that kept me going. Now, it's got two habs on this particular point of interest. They're not very big, but there's a fair amount of room inside to decorate, because a lot of these smaller points of interest, when you get inside those habs, there's not a lot of room to work with. But this one was an exception, so I took it and now it's mine. Now I hope you'll pardon the blood as we go and look at this first hab. And the first place I started, of course, was outside, because we're getting the feel of these things, so why not? This planet has a breathable atmosphere as well as those great trees, so I figured outdoor recreation was going to be a must. And that's why we've got that fantastic little gaming table down there and a seating area for all my crew to chill out when they're not doing their scientific research. And this is what the hab looked like when I first stepped inside. And like usual, it's a little bit unkempt, a little bit chaotic, but it's got this great wide open floor plan, and it's got some pretty nice lighting too. So I was very excited to get stuck in and give this place a little bit of a makeover. And one of the things I wanted to keep going in this hab was this blue and yellow color scheme, because we could see it in some of the stuff that was left behind as well as in the lighting. It's got that nice screen over there on the wall, so I decided to make this area, my living room, complete with that sunny yellow couch. And then over here, I want to start dividing up this space. So I pulled these cabinets around in an L shape, since we have a perfect match in the build menu, and turned this into a cute little like dining and kitchen area for my crew, because with this one being the more open hab, I decided to make this largely the living space, but we still got a little bit of work going on over here, using one of those paintings again as a backsplash and a room divider before we get onto these great computer consoles. And you'll notice we've got one of those Ryujin logos there, because when I first came into this outpost, there was a group of Ryujin scientists that needed help. Did I help them? Well, you might be able to put together that I didn't, since I'm here now. But I figured since we already had Ryujin in here, why not turn this into a Project Marzana outpost? So here we've got some nice bunks, using those sleeping bags again on those bunk beds to add a little bit of character as well as some blue. And then we've got another one over here next to this crew station, which I am hoping will get my settlers or crew to like come on into this building and take advantage of all the amenities we have to offer. So that would be the first of the habs, which is the larger one if I'm honest. And then over here past this magnificent tree, which was not always here but is here now, is the smaller one, and this is my working lab. Now I'm going to go on inside and see what it looked like to begin with. And what it looked like was these people ended up leaving in a hurry. This thing was kind of messy, and we got these really large island tables there in the middle, so there's not a lot of room to work with, but I was excited to give it a shot, and I managed to get a few bits of furniture in here and clean up a lot of that mess. We've got this research station here, because this is my science lab, and a few chairs to make things look a bit more comfortable. And I wanted to keep this pretty vanilla, but I will admit I had one of those walls from my Better Buildable Walls and Doors mod to separate that room up some. And we got some more pharmaceutical lab here, as well as a nice coffee station by that window with a lovely view of the trees, which you might notice are both on the inside and the outside. At first, I thought I was going to get rid of that tree, put a mat down and make it go away, but honestly, it's really pretty, so I decided to turn it into a feature. That's why I've got this hanging plant up here, which is another cherry blossom, to make it look a bit more intentional with our gigantic indoor tree. Because, you know, why not? Who doesn't want to take a picnic inside a hab? And as we come on through, I didn't do much here because, I mean, it's taken over by a tree, but we do have this little storage box over there with the lights. I think plays kind of nice with those pink petals. And then another one of those cherry blossom bonsais on the floor. There really wasn't a lot of space in there, so there wasn't much I can do, but I felt pretty happy with how it turned out anyway. And then over here in these crates, I've added in that industrial workbench and a couple more outside here. Since this is a working outpost, we may as well make it work for me. And now, these two habs, these are the ones I brought in myself. And the first one is the break room. And since this is, after all, a Ryujin lab, I went with a Tranquilitea for my break room. And everything in this hab it's a completely vanilla build inside this one hab. So I made using those paintings once again to create that backing for my display. And then these tea dispensers are made using some pedestals, reactive gauges, the micro floated terrariums, and some pot lids to make them look like they're all one unit. And here is a till where we're bringing up those beverages because, yep, I'm going to pay my crew. We're going to get that money right back by selling them some tea. Over on the cabinets, been using those rugs to change up the surfaces a little bit, make it look classy before we head on inside our Ryujin R&D department. Now this is the working heart of this particular outpost, and it's built inside one of those new observatory habs. And the ground floor of these is pretty much exactly like those large hexagonal habs, which as some of you know can be a little bit difficult to work with. However, I managed to get pretty creative in how I divided up this space. Over here we have our executive office, and I designed this lab for the optional companion Dani Garcia. So this is her desk. As you can see, it's got her favorite creative aid there by the bowl, along with a lava lamp. And we got some seating areas here for anyone meeting with the boss. And speaking of the boss, we've got our own executive suite here in the lab too. Now I was building this outpost before the update which added mods dropped, so a lot of these dividers are still vanilla, as you can see with this apartment. And I built most of this using those display cases as well as pedestals and storage shelves. This is our sleeping area. This bed I added a little bit of extra glam to by putting one of those wide pictures onto the back of the bed head to give it that chrome border. We've got a small kitchenette area, some tables with display items, and I did add this little door here from Buildable Walls and Doors, and some of those ambient light fixtures, because in this hub we can't have windows, and that means it can get very dark very fast, especially if you start dividing up the space. There's a lot of shadows where light just can't get in, and this whole apartment was incredibly dark without those ambient light sources, so I felt I had to add that so we could actually see what we were doing in there. Over here is our break room for the staff, and you can see some more pedestal merging going on there to create that countertop. And I'm actually pretty creative with these wall cabinets too. If you place them and then replace them, they actually sink into the wall, so you can use that to bring them forward or backwards if you want a little bit more variety in those cabinets. And a cocktail station there too for celebrating those big wins here in the R&D department. Check out this display of corporate power here with the nice display shelves and planters, and I really like how these work with these glass floors and these steel details up on the ceiling that we have in these observatory habs. And then down here it's our lab proper, and I got two of these crew stations in here because really excited to have these fit with the design of a space I was decorating for one, so I went ham with these. And this space should look pretty well populated once I get those recruits inside. Trying to find different ways to use that vanilla build menu to add more computery parts to this outpost. So I use things like the drink dispensers flipped around to look like computer towers, and little shelves here with this contraband case on top. It helps to kind of create that greebled, cluttered look that I really like to see in these outposts. And as I said before, this lab is dedicated to Dani Garcia, so here is our mech research. Got this robot up here on the table by creating a robot destroying a robot, placing it there. Looked really good for this video, but unfortunately, this doesn't result in permanent decor, because anytime you leave the cell and come back, your broken robots are just going to respawn by the beacon. But still, looks good here, even if it was only for a little brief while. And then come on through some more research in the middle. Now I love the middle of these hexagonal habs. I've always liked the floor pattern, so this was a really nice place to decorate. You can see the wall over there made by those display shelves that we saw in the entrance. Then over here on this tech table, keeping up with that less than above board research theme. We got some Rothsite, which you might remember from the NeuroAmp quest, as well as some illegally harvested organs on top of that rather suspicious looking case on the dolly. Morally dubious on this playthrough? Never. Besides, you can't make a good science omelette without cracking a few science eggs. So that's what we're doing here in the center of this research lab. But feel free to loosen the grip on those pearls there as we go on upstairs and see what these observatory habs are all about. And it is the telescope room. I mean, really, just get a look at that ceiling. I love this domed ceiling. I love this telescope. I love everything about this floor of this hab. And because this moon has such a great view of that ringed giant, the skybox that we can see with that telescope is pretty impressive too. And like I said before, I really like these glass floor panels that we have here. They look great from below when you're looking up at them, and they look really nice here too, and they break up the space for you, so you don't have to do anything particularly creative to get those spaces broken up. Augmented those computers there with some chairs and some utility carts to make it look like it is in work and functioning. Speaking of function, we've got these storage shelves because you can't do science without supplies. And I tried to keep the colors and arrangement fairly tight so it looked like it was being used, but still a little classy since this is supposed to be Ryujin. And as I mentioned before, this is a Project Marzana outpost, so I've got this map table here. That's where we're going to figure out where we're going to put our next cryo lab. You know them, you love them, you loot them, we built them. So that's what this outpost is all about. Got a little VIP waiting area here where we can teach them about the cosmos while squeezing them for credits, because with credits comes cryo labs, and with cryo labs comes profit. So thanks for taking this tour with me. If you're interested in these point of interest takeovers, I'll be back again next week with a video on how to take them over and what to do with them once you have. So I hope you'll come back for that one. But in the meantime, if you found anything in this video in any way helpful or entertaining, please drop me a like and subscribe. I'll be back again next week as always with more of those building tips, ships, and outpost tours. Till next time, bye.